want to introduce everyone to Justin Breen. He had reached out to me on Facebook and we connected earlier today and I immediately liked him. He's super charismatic. He is a Wall Street Journal, USA Today bestselling author of this book called Epic Life. He's a visionary PR entrepreneur. He's also formerly with the EO chapter in Chicago, but now is spending most of his time with Strategic Coach. And he's part of, I think, Peter Diamandis' group as well, too. And he is a 8671 Kolbe and activator, maximizer, and achiever. And today we're going to be talking about personality types because I'm obsessed with personality types, as everyone knows, because of my book, Little Brand Book. It's all about brand archetypes. And I'm really fascinated by this topic, and we're going to explore that today. How does that sound, Justin?
Oh, that's my oh yeah, my 8 fact finder. Like, I just want to know the patterns of things, and then activate, maximize, achieve those. So like here's the answer, do something about it. Here's the answer, do something about it. And so like I'm endlessly fascinated to talking to people like you, because you're the ones that have all the great ideas and then some of the not so great ones as well. And then I just filter out the bad ones and focus on the good ones.
Well, how about we start off with you had talked about Kolbe and also about strength finders. Maybe give an introduction to our audience about what those two things are.
Yes. So I understand. Okay. Because you want the input on that for yourself and for your audience. I appreciate that. Okay. So I will rechange my brain here to answer that. So there are 2 things I write down before I meet someone. 1 is their name and 2 is their Kolbe score. 2. And so Kolbe, Kolbe, it's not the cheese. Kolbe is how your brain takes action. I really don't care what someone's personality is. I want to know if they're going to actually do something. And my whole day is spending time either with my wife and 2 sons or talking to top visionaries on planet. So not business owners, not consultants, not human employees, pure visionary entrepreneurs. And there are exceptions, but almost without exception, a true visionary is an 8, 9, or 10 quick start. You're a 9. I'm actually a 7. Occasionally, someone lower than an 8 quick start will slip into that visionary role, but they must have high IQ and or EQ, and then they can game the system. But a true visionary is almost always someone like you. So, and in almost 6 years as an entrepreneur, almost 6, my firm has partnered with one that I know of under a 7 quick start, only one. And the incredibly high amount of visionaries that partner with my firms are 8, 9, and 10 quick starts.
Amazing.
That's Kolbe. Yeah. So that's the Kolbe answer. Sorry, 8 fact found that one. The strength finders, Gallup, GALLUP, Clifton Strength Finders. There's 34 of them. 34. Most visionaries that I talk to, almost without exception, they are high in ideation and or futuristic. So top 10 in one of those. I believe you're ninth in futuristic. So they're off in ideal world, and then they have a mix of activator, maximizer, and or achiever. So they're off in ideal world, but they'll do something about it now. If you're off in ideal world and you don't do anything about it, that is a tortured human being, and that person's going to torture me, and I don't want to talk to them. And so I am 32 out of 34 in ideation, almost dead last, very low in futuristic, but top 3 are activate, maximize, achieve. So talking to an ideator futurist who will do something about it now, here, blah, 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 simplify, and then connect, simplify, connect, simplify, connect, simplify, activate. And so think of it as like ADHD meeting hyper-focused. That's why it works.
So you said I am ADHD.
Well, my wife, who's a doctor, is like, stop diagnosing people, but most people in the 3393 range, that's ADHD diagnosed or undiagnosed. And it's not a disorder. It's a sign of genius mislabeled by humans. And then usually people like us are aliens within our own family, community, and vertical. So nobody understands this except top entrepreneurs on planet. So regular humans aren't going to understand this conversation. Because they're not entrepreneurs, they're not visionaries. So
that's why I instantly liked you.
Yeah, I don't talk to people like that because they don't understand what I'm saying and I can't help them. So,
yeah. So tell us a little bit about this book. I mean, you talked about, previously how, there's so many successful entrepreneurs, but they're only successful on one side of their business. But you think that an epic life obviously includes, designing your life so that your whole life makes sense. Why'd you write the book?
Yeah, that's fair. Thank you for that. That was really good background and feedback. I appreciate it. So again, most of my day is talking to people like us or spending time with my family. So I talk to 1 to 2 visionaries every single week, every week, that have let entrepreneur life destroy their family life or prevented them from having a family / anything meaningful. So these are the word you used was successful, quote unquote, successful, all this stuff, big revenue companies, all these companies, all this stuff, all this wealth, and then they have nothing meaningful in their life. So I'm like, well, that's a bad idea. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to activate, maximize, achieve, not doing that. So the book is about how to build collaborative global companies while putting your loved ones first, which is a message I strongly believe in. That message. I strongly feel it's what people like us actually want. They just many times don't know how to do it.
So how do they do it? Do you have any tips for us?
Well, there's 30 in the book. There's 30 in the book. The one I always focus on. So what happens is I talk to an ideator, usually a high quick start, and maybe once a month they'll give me a great idea. I'm like, oh, I'll activate, maximize, achieve that. So one of those folks is Jesse Elder. He's a 9 quick start. Do you know Jesse?
No.
No, he's a
sounds like I'd like him.
Oh, he's a genius. I mean, he's a full genius. 9 quick start like you. And I was asking him the same thing that you were just to me a second ago. I'm like, oh, why do these folks, they always focus on all this material stuff? And he's like, oh, they're just winning the wrong game. They're just winning the wrong game. I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. I'm not going to win the wrong game. I'm going to win the right game. So I think the first step for any entrepreneur who might be winning the wrong game is asking what game are they actually winning? What game they're actually winning. And then most of these people are very high quick starts, so they can quick start trying to win the right game as soon as possible.
What's the right game?
Well, for me, there's only one game. It's putting your family and network first, and all this other stuff takes care of itself. And I guess I would describe myself as a fairly logical person. And then like you, we were journalists. So you don't get into journalism for employee count, revenue. I mean, I don't think you do. You go into journalism to write about, cool people changing the world. So it was a great gift not having a business education or, all of that kind of stuff. So what I see is that entrepreneurs are the most damaged people with the best coping skills, most damage, most depression, most traumatic experiences as a child or young adult, most threats of bankruptcy, most anxiety. And they have the best coping skills. So they have the highest IQ, most guts, most whatever that is. And then they use those coping skills from all the trauma to create all this, I'll show you all this stuff. And then many times they bypass the meaningful things, the family. So I'm saying for me, the game is spending time with my family and then building network on a global level. And I found all this other stuff kind of takes care of itself. And I'm very grateful for that. Very grateful, because it's very sad when you talk to someone who's let entrepreneur life destroy their family life or prevented them from anything meaningful. And those are the most miserable people I know.
Was there a catalyst for you to go down this path?
Well, I think, again, the 4 things that separate entrepreneurs from humans and consultants, business owners, is I haven't met one person like us that hasn't overcome at least one of the following 4 things. Most are 2 or 3, and then the really successful ones, they're usually 3s and 4s. So the 4 things are bankruptcy or potential bankruptcy, 2, depression, 3, the highest level of anxiety that you can imagine, excuse me, and 4 likely and or possible traumatic experiences as a child or young adult. So, again, business owners, consultants, humans, those are excuses. Entrepreneur at the highest level, figure it out, fuel, it'll propel you. So again, entrepreneurs, most damaged people with best coping skills. So the one, certainly there've been a lot of those. I'm 3 of the 4, knock on wood. I've never had to worry about bankruptcy or potential bankruptcy, but chapter in the first book, Epic Business, is that when you start a business, it takes 2 full years to figure things out. So I hadn't been to the 2-year mark yet, but at the end of 2018, I'd made more money in 1 year than I ever thought possible, because you don't go into journalism to make money. So more money in 1 year than I ever thought possible, and never been more miserable in my life ever. So I'm like, oh, what's going on with that? And I just hadn't been in entrepreneur life long enough to understand what entrepreneur life actually was. So I'm glad I went through that, because I learned that making more money doesn't make me happier.
That's the truth. What made you start, make the jump from being a journalist to an entrepreneur?
So most people are not meant to be global thinking entrepreneurs. People like us are usually aliens within our own family, community, verticals. They don't, regular human isn't going to understand us. But endless coping skills, endless guts. So started first company with 0 business background. After job salary as a journalist was cut in half, couldn't find a job. Incorporated 6 days after turning 40. And then while I was working full time at half the salary, over 6 weeks, reached out to 5,000 people to find first 5 clients. So most people can't do that, because they're not, not equipped like that. Then got 5th client, resigned the next day. And then Robert Feeder, he's since retired. You might know Robert. He's a top media columnist in the Midwest, or he was before he retired. He did a story. I started my own firm. So that was just to start the first company. Most people can't do that, but that's entrepreneur life.
5,000 on LinkedIn? Wow.
So not just on LinkedIn. So I was a journalist, right? So I had, tens of thousands of followers. And so it wasn't just LinkedIn. It was Facebook, text message, email, phone calls, Twitter. Yeah.
Have you always been a networker or a connector?
Man, your brain. I love it. I love brain. So again, you're either born someone like this, or you're not. So I was this person before I was born. So most people wouldn't understand that. So I'll explain it. So when I was born, my father was 61, and my mom was 27. So 34-year difference. And my father would be 106 if he was alive now. He died when I was 13. He was a World War II hero, shot down multiple times in combat, many times without a parachute, got back in the plane. After he died, I found the diary he had written from the Battle of the Hurtgen Forest, which was a very deadly battle towards the end of World War II. Found it after he died, and I write exactly like him. Just boom, 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 boom. Just inform and entertain, result, result, result. There's some excerpts of that in the first chapter of the new book. There's some excerpts, and the most horrific, every day is just more and more horrific. So that's my litmus test. Anyone starts to make an excuse. He got into a plane many times without a parachute, saw so much death and horrible things in that diary. So if there's ever an excuse that pops into mind, I'm like, oh, I'll go read the diary. No excuse. Okay, so that's my dad. And then in his late 50s, he was driving. A drunk driver hit him, and then the drunk driver was killed. My dad broke every bone in his body and survived. And then my mom was his nurse. So that was how they met. And then my mom was 27. Most of my days talking to people like us. And I haven't met anyone with more hustle than my mom ever. I've never met anyone with more hustle than her. So I'm the product, and she's a super connector at the highest level. So here I am.
Thus, you're born a connector.
I was this person before I was, and then there's no shiny object. I've never had any shiny object. Well, I guess probably when I met my wife, I like, oh, shiny object, and then never stopped chasing shiny object. But other than that, like being so low in ideation and strength finders, that's a strength, because when there's a good idea, activate, maximize, achieve, and then like never stop.
Yeah. And your wife is what did you say? A doctor?
Pediatrician.
Pediatrician? Yeah. Okay.
Think the opposite of visionary maniac. That would be my wife. She's warmth, empathy, rules, love, calendar items, lists. Make sure you say thank you. So, like, okay. Perfect match.
It is, right? For entrepreneurs like us.
Usually people like us marry stabilizing humans. Not always, usually.
Yeah, that seems to work. My husband's pretty stable. He's like a Buddha.
Perfect. Have fun with that. That's because like, and I always say this to people like us, like, just imagine marrying yourself. Like, just think about that just for a minute. And I know for me personally, that would not be a good situation.
Yeah. So what's next for you? You have this book. You connect global entrepreneurs together.
You know, I appreciate that. It's always the same thing, but in a good way. And my 10Xing in life is experiences in life with my family, and then growing network on a global level. I found the other stuff kind of takes care of itself. So like, I just talk to people like you and connect them. And then some of them want to hire a PR firm, and then others want to join. My partner's in California. He's a 1596 Colby. He's half Buddha, calm, empathy, and then he's half ruthless. Not him, but his mother's side of the family, ruthless restaurant owner, competition. So, and he's an only child. All of that's in him. So he's like me with empathy. It's super interesting. So we created a LinkedIn without the BS, invite only connectivity platform. So it's just technology for what my brain's already doing. But if I tried to build a connectivity platform, I'd electrocute myself. So he and I have a book coming out. Mark Fujiwara is the partner. Great. He's a great guy. And we have a book coming out about how to create a family office, multifamily office. I have no idea how to do that, but it talks about a new company being the connectivity platform for people like that. And the third co-author is Russ Allen Prince, who's the editor of Private Wealth magazine in the family office space. He's top in world. And then Russ, as the editor of Private Wealth magazine, he keeps doing stories on me and the companies in the book. And then when PR partners join PR firm, he wants intros to them to do stories on them. And so Private Wealth has about 2,000 subscribers, and average revenue per subscriber is 8 figures. So it's very appealing to people like that, because they want to change the world and they have the capital to do it, and they don't make excuses. So it's fun being in that world all the time with this brain that's totally focused on network and family.
Wow. Do you have any PR secrets for us? I see that you have PR company.
Well, like you, entrepreneur who happens to be a journalist. I was a journalist for 20 years and created an entire first company based on how PR firms annoyed me for 20 years. I don't actually know what PR firms do. They just bothered me with useless press releases. So as a journalist, you get hundreds of those things from every day from people you don't know. So those just annoyed me. So the formula for creating a successful global company is simple, is that you see a problem, create solution, problem solve, successful global company, right? So you see a problem, create solution, you do something about it, problem solve, successful global company. So the PR firms, if you want to call it that, the entire process is on the website. There's no tricks or gimmicks or anything. It's like We write stories, become links on clients' websites under news or blogs. So it looks like a story you see in the LA Times or whatever. Take that link and pitch to media, and media is immediately interested, introduce them to clients. So problem solved. So works for any company, any location, any vertical. The only vertical we ignore is politics, not because we don't like it, but it's just the opposite of visionary abundance investment mindset. And we only partner with visionaries that look at things as investments, not costs. So there's no, what do you cost or charge? There's no nickel or diming. There's just, what does an investment with you look like? So it eliminates most of society, but that's okay, because the ones that actually do make investments are the ones that actually change the world.
So you write press releases that don't annoy journalists.
Created my entire business model based on press releases that annoy me. I don't even like saying, those are the two worst words in the English language. I hate those two words with a passion. But yes, that is, thank you for simplifying that in input way. Yes, I cannot stand the press release thing. It's just nonsense to me.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Yeah, makes sense. Where did you work?
The job I was at previously, I was an editor at a news site in Chicago called DNA Info Chicago. So that was owned by Joe Ricketts, whose family owns the Cubs. And it started in Manhattan. And then it went to the 5 boroughs. Then it went to Chicago. I was the third person hired for that. And that would have gone, Mr. Ricketts is a full visionary. He would have taken that to every major city in the country. After I left, the New York office decided to unionize, and he shut the whole thing down. So there's numerous major national, international stories about that. That was in 2017. But the cool thing about that was that working there was that you really got to write about cool people changing the world. And so those stories are the exact same type of story that the PR firm does. There's really no deviation from that.
Wow, that's interesting. Do you see any trends, in 2023 that entrepreneurs need to sort of gravitate towards? Since you're connecting so many people, you probably get access to so much info.
So I take all that. Most of the people I talk to have all this endless info, and then I distill it down into a pattern or answer, which is what I think you just asked me. So from an entrepreneurial focus perspective, I'll answer it like this. One from a media perspective, and then two from a connectivity perspective, which is kind of the same thing. But so from the connectivity perspective, because my brain turns everything into patterns. So I just keep writing bigger checks to be in smaller rooms, but the people in those rooms are making bigger impacts. So bigger checks, if you want to call those networking groups, whatever those are, bigger checks to be in smaller rooms. People in those rooms are making bigger impacts. That allows me to spend biggest check, biggest investment in smallest room, which is my family, where I can make most impact. So from an investment standpoint, the 2 rooms I spend most of my time in are $25K a year each. US, I'd easily invest $50K a year each, because not only is it the right people in there, it's the wrong people who are not in there. So that's as important, if not more important, that the wrong people don't go there. The second, from a media perspective, is shows like these are replacing mainstream media, TV, radio, newspapers for people like us, not for humans, but for people like us for 3 reasons, because I turn everything into a pattern. 1, the host is usually an entrepreneur, not a journalist. So they're coming from a place of abundance, not scarcity. So you're going to ask questions that a journalist who's a journalist would never, they don't think like that. 2, you can do a deep dive on someone, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour. So you get to know the person and the host as well. You get to know the host. So it's not a drive-by interview, not a 2-minute, Today Show spot or whatever. 3, this is what I've seen most, that's most important. The audience might not be as large quantity-wise, but it's a far more qualified audience. I'm guessing regular humans aren't listening to this. If they did start listening to this, I'm guessing they're not anymore. But a high-level entrepreneur will listen to this. So to simplify that, shows like these are transactional and transformational platforms for entrepreneurs. That's what they are.
Yeah, I think everyone is, because of all the fake news and the misinformation out there, they're certainly looking for credible sources of trust.
100%. And talk to me is meaningless without an answer. It's meaningless. So all I hear over and over is we're tired of being best secret. We want to be in more news media and shows like this to create more validity and credibility for their brand. So these shows are shortcuts to high level credibility. That's what they are. And then it's really fascinating is, journalist for 20 years, own a global PR firm. I never watch the news ever. No, I never watch the news. I don't do it because for people like us, and that's why we ignore politics, because entrepreneurs at the highest level will get things done no matter who's in charge, and they won't let that negativity influence them anyway. So just ignore it.
No, I completely agree. Economic pessimism is abounding, and I'm just like, let's just keep on going.
Of course. Yeah. So there's, right. That's the short and sweet answer to it, which I like. I was talking to one of my buddies who's an 8 quick start. He's an 8 quick start. And these were his words, but I really thought about it. He's like, well, most people are sheep, and then entrepreneurs like us and like you and me and him, we're sheepdogs. So, for every 100 sheep, they just want to hang out with sheep and eat the grass and, talk amongst themselves at the water cooler or whatever sheep do. And then the one sheepdog for every 100 sheep, they're looking around for wolves, and they're, so I looked it up. There are only two scientific fundamental reasons for a sheepdog to exist. And so this is from Science Daily. I looked this up. So 1 is to keep the sheep in line, and 2 is to push them forward. So you don't talk to the sheep. You don't interact with what the sheep are doing. You just keep them in line and push them forward. So that's what an entrepreneur's job is. That's it.
Yeah. And I think that we thrive, when there is uncertainty. We see opportunity when there's uncertainty.
Whoa. Did you read the book?
What book?
My book. Oh, wait.
Not yet. I will.
Whoa. There you go. Hey-oh.
Uncertainty is an opportunity to collaborate. What chapter is that? Wow. I did not read your book. That's why I like you.
Godwink. That's one of the other chapters is Godwink. So that idea, again, almost none of these ideas came from me, but that one's from Alan Olson, who's a genius 9 quick start. Like you, I think he's a 2 follow through. He's like, oh yeah, when COVID started, uncertainty is an opportunity to collaborate. I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. And then when COVID started, I think the second day after the shutdown, I posted on social media, this will be the greatest opportunity of all time for people with the right mindset. And that's what it is. That's what it's been.
Absolutely. I mean, I think as entrepreneurs, we can innovate, we can produce ways that are really true to our personal brand. We can create meaningful changes for people, for communities, and the world.
Can't believe we haven't talked before. I mean, we're like separated at birth. I mean, like the other one.
What?
I'll send this to you. This to you after this. So the third, I guess, test or whatever. Have you done Enneagram, by the way?
Yes.
Achiever. You're
Achiever.
You're a 3.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm an 8-3. Okay, so this next one, I'll send it to you. It's called Print, PRINT. It's your unconscious motivators.
Mm.
And I'm excited. Input. So this is 100% you, even though this is unconscious motivators. It's harder to predict, but like most of the truly great entrepreneurs are either 8-3s. I'll tell you what that means in a second. 8-3s or 3-8s. My partner's a 3-8. I'm an 8-3. So 8 is to be strong and self-reliant, and 3 is to succeed and achieve. So there's no overthinking. There's no overfeeling. There's just execute. So I'm guessing you're a 3-8, but I'll send that to you.
I'd love that.
Yeah, I'll send that to you. I think I have your, yeah, here it is. I'll do that now. Yeah, just send me your score. I'm going to guess you're a 3-8, but we'll see.
What other tests do you have up your sleeve? So Enneagram.
What is the one I just took? Hold on, I can tell you that after I send you this. Okay. So I'm going to guess you're a 3-8 on that. And then your husband, my wife's a 2-6 print. So 2 is to be needed and appreciated, and 6 is to feel safe and secure. Your husband's like, or maybe there's like a 1-5. Everything needs to be perfect and right, or to be knowledgeable and smart. That's usually what that's, like a human thing, not a visionary. Okay. So I just sent you that. There's one I just took. It's, here it is.
What is it?
Can you see this?
No.
You can't see it.
Is that disc profile? What is that?
No, it's not disc. You're a high D in disc, right?
High D, high I.
Yeah, I'm a DI, and I don't even know what the S and C mean, and I don't want to know. This one is Lumina Spark. Someone just told me about this.
Lumina Spark.
If you Google Lumina Spark, it takes literally 1 minute, and you'll like it because you just there's an app on your phone, and then and then it'll tell you what you are. So I lean toward red and yellow, which big picture thinking, outcome focused. That's
you.
And then that's probably you too. And then inspiration driven also.
LuminaLearning.com, everyone. But yeah, if you do Lumina Spark, it will show up. And what was the other one? Print, PRI?
PRINT. I emailed you that one. Most people don't know that one. That one's not as well known, but I think that one's really interesting. And it amazes me when an entrepreneur has a feeler score or a thinker score. I'm like, how are you executing if you're just thinking
and feeling?
I mean,
I was surprised that my score for empathy was low.
Oh, I'm not surprised at that. No. So yeah, you're 27, right? 27.
Yeah.
So I'm 34 out of 34. No, that doesn't surprise me at all. Most people like us are very low in empathy. My partner's third, but Dan Sullivan, who's the co-founder of Strategic Coach, I believe he's also 27 in empathy. So you're in very good company there. Very good company.
But it's so interesting that all I want to do is help people, do workshops and Dan, so that's so confusing to me.
Workshops for what type of people? Anyone?
Entrepreneurs.
Yeah, that's not
empathy.
Entrepreneurs aren't people. No. For people like you, I have endless empathy. Endless. Those workshops aren't for regular humans. Those are for special type of person. Yeah.
So that's not empathetic, I guess.
Oh, it is selective empathy. I have selective empathy for people like you. Endless.
Yeah. You're fascinating.
Oh, thanks. So are you.
You're so charismatic too. I immediately
really? Tell my wife then, because now there's a dovetail to that. Have you ever heard of what an ambivert is?
No.
There's another test for that. Look up ambivert test.
Ambivert test.
Okay, so I was talking to a genius entrepreneur on her show. I mean, she's a full genius. I think her company had I don't know if it was 9 or 10 figures, but it was something like that, the exit. And Tasty Trade, it was on the Tasty Trade show. If you look that up, Tasty Trade show. I don't even know if they're still doing it, but so I was like, I'm excited and stuff. And then I was telling her, if you get me in a room with regular people, you could put a lampshade on my head. I have nothing to say. And she's like, oh, you're an ambivert. You're an ambivert. So what that means is around people like you, biggest extrovert on the planet. But if you get me in a room, like a water cooler talk, I say nothing.
Maybe that's me too.
Oh, that's definitely you. Yeah.
But I was like a 98% extrovert. But what happens when I go into a room with regular people, you know what I do? I hide behind a camera. I just start taking photos of them. And because I don't want to have a want to have a conversation with them. That's
we're
what my husband said.
Yeah, right. So my point is, and again,
is there a test?
Yeah, I'm looking for it right now. Okay. So again, this is why it works. Wait, is this it? Yeah, this is the one I took. Yeah, here it is. This article will hit. Are you going to put this in like the show notes?
Yes, I'll put in the show notes so everyone can learn about themselves.
Yeah, right. So and
thank you.
I didn't talk about ambivert in the book, but like all my book is like I talk to people like you, and then here's answer, input. Because like I'm fascinated by people like you, and then I'm kind of like someone like you with follow through too. It's like, so it's really interesting. But the more you know about yourself, about who you are and who you aren't, then you can just eliminate the. So yeah, you just pretend you're someone else when you go into a regular. But that makes sense.
Do you know what I learned recently? Do you know what a basic assumption is? So Dr. Marie Nemeth has this course called the Academy Foundational Training, and I took it last year. And she talks about basic assumption, which is basically this thing that you take on when you're young. And there's several of them, right? I don't know. I can't. I'm stupid. And so you know what mine is? I'm dumb. And so when I realized that it's just something that you think about and that you don't have to be that. And so I realized that's why I have to read 12 books before I start meditation, because I need to understand it. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. So, you know, who said that also was Jim Quick. So Jim Quick was told he was dumb when he was a child.
And he's brilliant.
Well, so are you.
Yeah.
You're not dumb at all. So but again, people like us are usually aliens within our own family, community, and vertical. So it's regular humans who are sheep calling someone who's, not like them dumb. And I mean, there's three types of people that I completely disassociate myself with. My wife is like, well, you have to talk to people and be nice. I'm like, well, and I do try, but there's three types of people. One is boring, two mediocre, and then three, the worst are time vampires. Those are the worst. Yeah.
Time vampires, like they just want to suck time at what?
Yeah. They're frauds. They want all this knowledge without doing anything. And they just take. They're not. Talkers are takers. Yeah.
Well, alongside with this basic assumption, once I found that out, I also found out that I have a flight aspect to my personality. So whenever something really gets hard, like usually I thought I was fight because I not love to fight, but I'm good at it. And then I realized so whenever things really comes down to it and I really want to leave, I tell myself, I've trained myself to stay. Fight, flight, or freeze. Which one are you?
Oh, I'm full fight. Yeah. No, because again, my litmus test is, will you get into a plane without a parachute after another one's been shot down? So there's no.
You do fight.
Yeah.
I thought mine was fight too. Mine's flight.
The dovetail to that is, if it's not something in my comfort zone or zone of genius, meaning like something I don't like to do or what I'm good at, it's immediate flight. I ignore it. So I run away from that like the plague.
Yeah. Have you moved several places, jumped around, or no? You've stayed put, right? You're in Chicago.
No. So
in your mind, you leave.
That's in your brain. Wow. So my offices I have two offices. One is living room and one is backyard. And it takes a lot for me to go anywhere away from my family. I'd much rather be with my wife and children than anywhere else.
Always? You've always been like that, even from when you were a journalist?
Well, before I met my wife, no. But since I met my wife, I met her, our first date was August 28th, 2004. I told her I loved her September 5th, 2004, because August 28th, 2004 would have been too fast. So I waited 1 week to tell her that I loved her. And I've been attached since then.
Aw. So how long is that? 2004, that's 18 years? No.
Yeah, 18. And then we were married in 2008.
Wow.
It's a miracle.
And she loves you back. Isn't that sweet?
She does. She does. Yeah. People meet my wife and, she's super smart and kind and loving and beautiful and like in a party with regular people, like she's like very extroverted and happy, and I'm just there, and they're like, people get confused. They get
You're with him?
Yeah, it does. Well, I'll just show you this. So we were just in Florida. And we were just in Florida. So my wife made this whole like family book. So here's this, and my mom came with us. So this is our family. Can you see this?
Yeah.
So Style Boys. Do you know what Style Boys are?
No.
Oh, the Andy Samberg movie. It's so, and then my wife's dressed all nice and stuff. And I'm in a dumb Style Boys sweatshirt and it's like a child. And my wife has 3 children, our 2 sons and me. So, yeah. So yeah, it's okay though. It's okay. And then there's another thing that my friend Stephen Nooner, he's an 8 quick start. He's like, you seek what you need to heal. So I thought that was so I needed to find a stabilizing human who was loving and empathetic, and that helped me heal. And then she needed someone to push her to do more things in life and to really enjoy her life and take chances. And so that's me.
Oh, but that makes so much sense. How did you guys meet?
We met on the internet right as it was starting to be somewhat normal. And we met right after my grandma died. I had just gotten home from that. And we started talking like literally that night, right when I got home. So my mom has always said that her mom had a role in that, which I believe that. So.
Wow. And now look, she's seen you from journalist to entrepreneur to best-selling author to.
She doesn't care about any of this. So you're right about that, but she doesn't. So like Private Wealth magazine, and is top high net worth publication in the world, probably did a really great story about companies and stuff. And I'm like, I was very excited, right? So she, right when it came out, like, hey, this came out. She goes, oh, Justin, you gotta go in the backyard. You gotta go in the back. I go, what's wrong? She's like, oh, the dog's eating a squirrel.
What?
Dog's eating a squirrel. Yeah, dead squirrel. Yeah.
Oh.
So that's what my wife cares.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's kind of morbid, but that's kind of big contrast. Yeah.
It's hilarious. I think it's hilarious. Yeah. And then she's like, you have to say thank you to people. And don't forget to pick up your children at school. I'm like, okay. Yep.
I know. I told my husband recently that I would marry you again. He's
you did? You told him that?
Yeah, he's the greatest. He reminds me to pick up the kids too.
Do you say that stuff to him a lot? Well,
I did do this MIT program, the Entrepreneur's Master's program for EO, and they basically showed you how, we don't acknowledge
how to be a human. Yeah.
And so that was the first thing I did when I finished that program.
So you had to take a program for that. Yeah, right.
Yeah, to remind you to guess who is around, but
well, your husband's probably a 2.6 print, needed and appreciated, safe and secure, like my wife. And then the first thing I do every day, is a grateful journal to her. I write down what I'm grateful for her the previous 24 hours, because without her, bad situation. I don't usually show it to her. I just write it to myself to remind me to like be grateful for her. I don't need that reminder, but I need it to like know that when she does something, to say thank you for doing that, because it's a good pattern and habit to do every day.
So her 5 love languages, words of affirmation.
100%. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I'm physical. I think most men are physical. I would think so.
My husband is gifts.
Oh, I'm 0.0 in gifts. 0 gifts.
I know. I can just go to
Oh.
McDonald's, get him a fish fillet, and he'll be so happy if I'm late for something or whatever.
Oh yeah. My God.
You know why I know that is because that's how he shows love to me. He gives me gifts.
Wait, what is yours?
Obviously, acts of service.
Acts of service.
And quality time.
And quality time.
Yeah.
A man who's got gifts.
Yeah. Gifts and quality time.
Is he an only child or something?
Yes.
There you go. Yeah. So that's how my brain works. There you go. Answer. There you go. Yeah,
solved it.
Yeah.
Solved it. The prince of his house. Yeah. Shocking though, right? But that's how you reveal it. He says it's not gifts, but he's constantly giving me gifts.
He's an only child. He wants. Yeah.
Yeah. And quality time. What's your second?
I don't know. I just hate. I remember I was physical touch, and then I hate gifts. I don't like gifts either. What my wife's like, what do you want for Father's Day? I go, just let me sleep in. I don't want any.
Yeah, exactly.
Crap thing I don't need. And sorry if I'm swearing, but I don't want anything.
Yeah. So could it be quality time?
It's probably quality.
Yeah. Right. Because you're always with your family.
There's no way. I'm way low in that.
Yeah. You don't need it.
I don't want it. I don't need it. It doesn't matter to me. But for my wife, it's the most important. And that's what I mean. You're probably a 3.8 print or an 8.3.
I'm going to go check it out.
And for those who are listening, again, chapter 2 is about all these patterns and stuff, but those 3 things are Colby, Strength Finders, and print. So
can I add another one?
Yeah, go.
The Cube Ladder Horse.
Oh man, send me that one.
Have you ever taken that one? The Cube Personality Test?
I haven't done that one.
Okay, I'm going to send it to you. So everyone, the Cube Personality Test. I once gave it to Adam Sandler and his wife. I'm never going to tell.
You're not going to give me the answer?
It is. It was really great. It is so great.
I'm guessing his wife's a stabilizing human.
She is.
Yeah.
She's phenomenal.
That was Jason. There's a great interview with Jason Alexander. And because I'm still trying to find someone like us, and I consider actors or people like us, because they're entrepreneurs, who hasn't overcome one of those 4 things. And so his early life, he hadn't had to overcome one of those things, any of them. But then what happened was, after Seinfeld, he had to overcome 2 of them: depression and anxiety, because he didn't know what his life was. So I'm like, darn it. He had to finally fall into that. So, but it was really interesting how he talked about that. And then the most important reason why that he was able to overcome the anxiety and depression was because of his stabilizing human wife, that they've been married for decades.
Hey, can I give you this Cube test right now?
Did you put it in the?
No, I want to give it to you. Don't look at that. Can I ask you the questions on the podcast?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Let's do it. It's going to be short, people. All right. Maybe everyone can do it while they're listening.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good.
Right.
That's a 9 quick start idea right there. Okay.
All right. First, imagine you're in a desert.
All right. Do I have to close my eyes for this?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm turning off the video.
Okay. Ready?
Yeah.
The desert is incredibly large.
Mm-hmm.
Sitting in the desert is a cube. Do you see it? How big is the cube? Don't answer. I'm going to give you, you're going to tell me this picture later. Okay. So don't answer now. Do you see it? How big is the cube? Where exactly is it?
Mm-hmm.
Is it buried in the sand, or is it sitting on top?
Mm-hmm.
Was it made of?
Mm-hmm.
You got it?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let's continue with your desert vision. Where your cube is There's now a ladder. How long is it? Where is it in relation to the cube? Is it beside it, underneath it, leaning on it, over it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now that you can see the ladder, let's move on. A horse has now appeared in the desert. What does the horse look like to you? Is the horse freely roaming or tied up?
Mm-hmm.
Where is the horse in relation to your cube? Beside it, away from it, taking shelter from it?
Mm-hmm.
Got it?
Mm-hmm.
Let that play in your mind for a moment, and then we'll continue. You now see flowers. Where are they in your desert vision? Are they close to everything or far away? How many flowers do you see? Where are they in relation to your cube? Finally, your last visualization. There's a storm brewing. Is it near or far? Is it affecting your horse, flowers, or cube? Is it windy and raining? Dark and cloudy? How is the storm affecting your vision? Okay, so now go over each scenario again, make it really clear,
Mm-hmm.
and tell me a little bit about this, and I'm going to explain to you what it is.
Good. So it's a clear day. The cube is silver. It is, I would say, the size of a small house. It is sitting in the middle of two large palm trees on very flat sand. The ladder is spinning clockwise on top of the cube.
Spinning clockwise on top of the two.
cube.
So vertical, not vertical, horizontal.
Not vertical, horizontal on top of it, correct.
Neat.
Like a clock, but horizontal. And then the horse is Secretariat, the greatest horse. My father owned race horses growing up. So Secretariat is the greatest horse. And he's running from the north, unbridled, no jockey. Secretariat was brown and he had a little white patch on him, on the front of him, like by his neck. So he's running at the cube as the ladder is spinning. And then deep in the distance, well past Secretariat, the storm is brewing. It is very dark clouds, no dust storm, but just clouds. Yeah.
Flowers.
Oh, flowers. I always forget the beauty part. All right, hold on. I'm going back to the horse. Going back to say, I haven't thought about Secretariat in a long time here. Okay. The flowers are surrounding in a circular pattern surrounding the base of both trees. And they're tulips, red tulips.
How many?
There are 10 surrounding each tree.
Okay. So now I'm going to tell you what it means. The cube represents you. The size of the cube is your ego, whatever it's made out of. You said silver, right? It determines your feelings or personality. How you think about the cube is how you think about yourself. The cube is strong in its walls and you feel strong. And so what did you say about the cube? A house.
The size of a small house, yeah.
Yeah, so family, home, right? Isn't that interesting? Well, you compared it to that.
So someone who doesn't have a strong foundation would say it's a tiny little cube.
Okay. So think about what the cube means to you. That's something that you can probably, reflect on. Yep. The ladder represents your goals. The length of the ladder shows the scale of your goals. But the shorter the ladder, the more simple the goal. The location of the cube to the ladder is also important because it determines the focus and effort that you're currently investing in your goal. So if it's close to your cube, then you're making all efforts to achieve, assist your goals.
Spinning like an engine.
Yeah.
Sense.
Yeah. And if it's leaning, that means you have a big goal to achieve, but it's just churning out your goals. It's amazing. The horse represents your ideal partner. Your overall impression of the horse represents the impression you have of your partnership.
Oh, so that means my wife?
Yeah.
And my business partner. Yeah.
Yeah. So if it's beautiful, like you're describing.
Secretariat's the most beautiful horse, even though he's a male, but he was the most. Secretariat was large. Secretariat had a heart that was almost twice the size of a regular racehorse. Yeah.
Wow. And the flowers represent your family and friends. The number of the flowers determines your connections and how close you are to them. A bunch of flowers suggests that you have a close group of friends that you rely on, right?
What's the average answer to that one? It's probably more flowers than mine.
Sometimes people will say they, blanketed across the desert. Sometimes they'll have 2 flowers in the mouth. Sometimes there's 2, on the back, of the horse or something like that, And it's also the location of flowers determine how close you are with your social groups. And it was right there, right by your trees.
Right there. Oh, yeah.
And the storm represents the obstacles in your life. So far, far away.
Way away.
Yeah, that's it. That's interesting.
That makes perfect sense. And it's very clear out.
Yeah.
Oh, hey,
that's good.
So I'm not full of bleep. Good. There's an interesting thing with strength finders is that a lot of folks like us are very low in self-assurance, very low. And I'm very high. I'm 6th in that. And then 7th in significance. So there's a scientific, logical thing for that. So low in self-assurance means imposter syndrome. And high means you're very confident in who you are. So what are you in self-assurance? You've got to be high.
Where is it? I got to look it up.
Can you put it up there for everybody? Or do you want everyone to know you're
30? Where'd it go?
You lost it again.
God, there it. I put it away. What the?
Now you can see how Kalika's brain works, because she's going to try and find this. I'll wait for it. And I think the audience will too, because they'll wait. This is like pins and needles.
Okay, here it is.
Where are you in self-assurance? I'd be surprised if you would know.
Where the heck? Okay, here it is. The reports. I will show it to everyone.
All right. Just where's self-assurance?
19.
So you're in the middle. A lot of entrepreneurs are like very low 20s. And then where are you in significance?
I don't see it.
No, it's definitely in there somewhere. Is it 7? Is that what it is? The bright orange one? I think it says.
Oh, here. What does that mean again?
Significance in life. You want to be, have a big life. A ladder, big goals.
Big goals. Awesome.
I'm also 7th in significance.
You are? There you go. Nice.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So it's endlessly fascinating. Thanks for doing
that was fascinating.
But it makes sense.
And then so many of my other entrepreneur friends, I always give it to them. One of my friends who's an architect, he had this clear glass cube. Everything was inside the cube. Everything. The storm, the horse, but it was clear. And so he could see everything, but it was inside.
Wow.
Isn't that interesting? That is so interesting. And one of my friends who had just not come out yet, big rainbow cube up in the sky.
You gotta be shitting.
I'm not kidding.
Dude,
boom, boom, boom,
parties.
Boom, boom.
Like even with humans, this would be an interesting.
And one of my other friends who was also married had multiple horses. And guess what he was doing?
Yeah.
I know. It's so crazy. It's crazy. Yes, he was a cheater.
What is yours?
Well, I did it when I was in college. My cube was a crate. It was a wooden crate. It was just like solid, like in the middle, and then I had a blanket of flowers across, a storm in the distance, but my ladder was, right against me, and then it was like 10. There's like 10 rungs on it. Simple. And then the horse was beautiful, gorgeous, amazing, beautiful, but, I wasn't in a relationship then, so.
It was an ideal horse.
Yeah. Yeah.
God, it's that fascinating.
So fascinating. Yeah. Let me know how it goes. Yeah.
It makes sense. The whole thing is circular and simple.
But this way, I've never heard anyone have goals horizontal. The ladder horizontal, because it makes sense to do it this way.
It was spinning.
Yeah, it was spinning. And like you said, like you had a system, like it was a gear.
100%.
That's crazy.
It was an engine over the purpose of my family. It's the same. Yeah, that is exactly. The companies are just an extension of my purpose, which is my family and network. It's like a windmill. But
it was interesting that you put those palm trees next to you. Remember that? You put 2 palms. So that was interesting because you added that.
2 palm trees. Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder what that represents. Yeah. Anyway, this has been a very fascinating conversation, and I really enjoyed it. And I would love to keep in touch and see how you're doing. And maybe when your next book comes out, help promote it.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I appreciate that. I can think of great intros for you. My intros are basically 2393 meets 3393. So.
Okay. Awesome.
Is that helpful for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have any parting words for all the, this is a global podcast. So we do have, besides EO people, YPO people, a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs listen to this podcast. Is there any advice you want to give them? Aspiring ones. Are they entrepreneurs? Maybe they're not.
Well, so this is because I'm a dad who happens to be an entrepreneur, not an entrepreneur who happens to be a dad. There's a fundamental difference. So if you're a dad, be a dad. So if you're a parent, be a parent. And don't let this life destroy the more important aspect of your life.
Excellent. All right. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. I really enjoyed it. And, good luck and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. This is just a tremendous, tremendous conversation. I'm very thankful for that.
I'm so glad that you reached out. You're the best.
Thank you. Thank you. You too. And get me your husband's print.
Okay.
And Colby. And then make fun of him for it. And then get him a gift. Get him a gift.
Get him a fish fillet.
Here, if you take this Colby and print, I will get you a Filet-O-Fish sandwich.
2 for 1 on Fridays.
Oh, what a life. Can you imagine? Wouldn't it be great to just enjoy something like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, give me a Filet-O-Fish sandwich. Oh.
And you'll be all in.
That's not me. That's just, all right, but that's okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
I really appreciate it. This was awesome.
Thank you.